Namaste-astu Bhagavan Vishveshwaraya Mahadevaya Trayambakaya Tripurantakaya Trikalagnikalaya Kalagnirudraya Neelakanthaya Mrityunjayaya Sarveshwaraya Sadashivaya Shriman Mahadevaya Namaha. Om Namaste astu Bhagavan Vishveshwaraya Mahadevaya Trayambakaya Tripurantakaya Trikalagnikalaya Kalagnirudraya Neelakanthaya Mrityunjayaya Sarveshwaraya Sadashivaya Shriman Mahadevaya Namaha. Om Namaste astu Bhagavan Vishveshwaraya Mahadevaya Trayambakaya Tripurantakaya Trikalagnikalaya Kalagnirudraya Neelakanthaya Mrityunjayaya Sarveshwaraya Sadashivaya Shriman Mahadevaya Namaha. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadritamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Namo Bhagavate Om Namo Bhagavate Vaivasvataya Mrityave Vaivasvataya Mrityave Brahma Vidyacharyaya Brahma Vidyacharyaya Nachiketa Secha Nachiketa Secha. Did we see 15?
We are talking.
You saw the Bhashya of 15?
No, we're starting the Bhashya.
Yeah, we had a long discussion of Om as introducing these next three mantras. Because this one and 16 and 17 were all about Omkara and very beautiful. So we have seen Shabda Vachya, Pratika and Alambana. Alambana means it's a there is no English translation. That's the thing. What to do? Huh? So Alambana means that upon which something depends. So the Om is the Alambana. So we, the Jignasus, the Mumukshus who are desirous of the knowledge, depend upon the Om, Omkara. So that is in the sense of Alambana. So it is in the form of that which helps to assimilate the meaning of it through its very repetition. And how can something give the meaning of it through its very repetition? Because the Vachya, what is Vachya? That which it indicates, correct? The Vachaka and Vachya. Vachaka means the indicator. Vachya, that which is indicated by the indicator, happens to be one and the same. That is why it works as an Alambana. Happens to be one and the same. For example, if you say that, so how do you get to Brahman? By the means of Om. By the means of knowing Om, by the means of chanting Om. It's just that two different kinds of Brahmans are got. Brahmans? How many Brahmans are there?
Wow.
So two different kinds of Brahmans means what? Brahman from the standpoint of Para, that is without any attributes, and Brahman from the standpoint of the Jagat, the creator, the cause of the Jagat, which is with attributes. The Jagat being an attribute, but it's an as though attribute, so it really is not an attribute. So para and apara. Apara means Bhagavan in the form of Jagat Karanam Brahma, the cause of the whole universe. And para means what? Yourself. Really. So this alambana works two ways. Because the Vachya and the Vachaka are one and the same. That which is indicated is the same thing as that which indicates it. Like for example, if I say pot and show you a flower, there is no Vachaka Vachya Sambandha. Correct? Right? But if I show you pot and say pot, then the word pot brings the pot to mind. Correct? So the word Om brings what to mind? Brahman. Which kind of Brahman? Both, depending upon one's readiness. This is what we have been talking about. Both Brahmans. Brahmans. I'm liking this. Both forms of Brahman. Either form of Brahman, the form which is attributeless, which is the adhisthana of the whole Jagat, which is the adhisthana of you. Adhisthana means the truth of you, is brought forth by this Omkara. Or Bhagavan with all his glories and the various ways in which, the Bhagavan becomes a blessing source of the universe, is also invoked by this Om. That's why it is so special. It unlocks many keys. It unlocks the key of preparation and the key of knowledge, both at the same time. It's a secret master key of the universe. And that is why perhaps, they made the rule in the Puranic period that women should not chant Om. Even now, if I talk in places where there is a predominantly Indian population, like Atlanta, DC, Sailorsburg, wherever, after the class, a few women will come and want to see me, and they will say, even when the prayer Sahana Bhavatu is chanted, they were told to leave the Om and join in after Sahana, after Om, and not chant Om. This is the thing. You see, these are all man-made rules, literally. Yeah, women will not make them. Yeah, because this is a master key of one's spiritual growth and one's spiritual destiny. Om is the way and Om is the destiny. As Aparam Brahma, it is the way. As Param Brahma, it is the destiny. It is your home. That's why you take the H and the E from the word home and you're left with what? Om. Yeah. That's all it is. That's why the home has the word Om in it, because Om is home. Om is your true home. No other home other than Om. And so, why is it that women should not be at home with themselves? Why is this rule made? There is another secret to that. So if you keep chanting Om, 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 what happens? Vairagya comes. What is Vairagya? Dispassion. You simplify your life. You don't want any clutter. You foster out the children, outsource the children. And this is how it is. The Vairagya comes in the sense that it's not a bad thing. It means that there is a certain growth. You outgrow the need for various kinds of entertainment and various kinds of occupations and various kinds of, time pass. Various entanglements which gave you joy earlier become a huge, colossal waste of time. This is Vairagya. There is growth. People should not lament this. There is nothing to lament in that. And people get scared. Oh, I used to like all these horror movies. This is a real story. Someone told me this. I used to, watch a lot of horror movies on these flicks. Netflix, yes. And then now I don't like them at all. Now I'm feeling scared. I said the horror movies didn't scare you, but this you find scary. Now I feel scared because I'm changing and all the things I like I'm not liking anymore. So am I depressed? I said this is not depression. Not to see something which makes you shiver and shake before you go to sleep, and even if it's the dead of summer, is not a nice thing. You know, you're being very mindful of what you take in, and that is Vairagya. Because, see, the Viveka shows the way, and Vairagya helps to take away the clutter that's in between you and the way. Viveka is discrimination. It shows you the way, it shows you the priority. And Vairagya makes you let go of all the pacifiers that one was kept on, sucking all the time. Because this was one way to keep occupied and not face the truth of oneself. And so when those dependencies are taken away, and it's interesting, the dependencies are taken away by depending on Om as a meditative tool, as the truth of oneself, as Bhagavan, as yourself, however you see it, whatever one is ready for. So this Om is the one I use as an alambana, other alambanas slip away. This is actually a wonderful thing. This is something to celebrate. This doesn't mean that you have to go in search of new entertainment. What this means is that you are constantly entertained by your own self. You don't need other sources of entertainment. You are being more and more fulfilled, so that pressure to go out and get this or that and get entertained in a certain way and meet people and gossip and all those things that one engages in or one had engaged in loses color, becomes lackluster, Yeah, so that which used to be blockbuster becomes lackluster, and then one is just happy being oneself. This is the present of Om. This is the gift of Omkara Upasana, the chanting and the meditation of Om. Which is why the men made the rules. Women should not chant Vedas. Women should not chant Rudram. What does Rudram do? Give Vairagya. Women should not chant Om. What does Om do? Same thing. Because they wanted their dinners and their 5-course lunches. This is what it is. It's just a practical matter. So now that there are so many restaurants in every town, there is no need to worry. There is no need to worry what will happen to the men if women start to chant Om. Correct? So some of the things of capitalism we have to clap at, we have to applaud, because it's made women's lives easier to gain moksha. Yeah. So this is what the secret of this Om is. It's a secret master key that, was deprived, and horrible things they were told. If you chant Om, something bad will happen to your family. People now still believe that. I told one woman, chant now 5 times. Let's see what happens. Bring your child here. Let's make her stand here. Make her also chant. So with very scared, she chanted and nothing happened, of course. This is the thing. I said, how can God's name make something bad happen to your family? How is that possible? I said, use your mind. Then why do they say that? I said, we have to find out who the they is first. And then we, go further. And so, this is the master key of the universe. Any which way you see it, and we have seen it linguistically, we have seen it as a pratika, as a sound symbol, hearing which one comes back to oneself, or one goes to Bhagavan, the mind goes automatically to Bhagavan. That is what the pratika is. The pratika is that which connects the vachya to the vachaka to the vachya. Means that which connects the sound to that which is intended to be understood by the sound. This is what it is. Alambana, pratika, linguistically we have seen all this. And and it becomes a master key because it shows the way and it shows you as your own destiny, both. It shows the way to get to you and it indicates you as the final destiny of your quest. This is the power of Om. So it indicates, in other words, it indicates both aparam brahma. Aparam means not param. And param brahma, absolute, and from the standpoint of the absolute, the relative. So what is the relative manifestation of Brahman? The relative manifestation of Brahman is the attributed causality which becomes an attribute for this Brahman. And what is that attribute? The cause of the universe. By which so-called attribute Brahman gains the status of being the cause of the universe, aka Ishvara, Bhagavan. This is called Aparam Brahma. Oh, this is Aparam? Yeah. Oh, I thought this is Param. No, this is Aparam. Aparam, why? Because it's still other than you. It is something you bow at. It is something you make your fist at. How dare you do this to me? Depending upon which state of mind one is in. It is something you do namaste or you want to biff, Why did you do this to me? Why did you take away this from my life? Why did you give this in my life which I didn't want? So all this is Aparam Brahma. Shows that it is not the ultimate. The word Aparam shows that it is not the ultimate because it keeps duality in place. As long as one is talking about Aparam Brahma, don't get confused. What does it mean? Bhagavan, Ishvara, God. So as long as we are talking of Ishvara, then there is the duality is still in play, correct? Myself and you, Ishvara. That's why I can say Namaste Astu Bhagavan. Oh Vishveshvara, oh Sadashiva, oh this one, oh that one, oh Trikalagni, the fire of the, consciousness in three worlds, and, the one who is in all three periods of time, oh this one, oh that one. I am singing the glories and praises. And then that means what? The singer and the invoker and the invoked, this duality is still in play, right? There is actually a tension between this and this. I become a beggar in front of Bhagavan, or I get angry at Bhagavan. Give me this, give me that, give me. And then what? I didn't get it. So this is still called, that's why it's called Aparam, the non-absolute, because the absolute has to be you. I like Yama because all this time he prevaricated. He just went all over the place. But when he starts the knowledge, he goes boom, straight to the point and beyond. I like this Lord Yama. Very nice. Once he decides, this shows that his nature is very decisive. Once he decides, you cannot escape, whether the knowledge or something else that he is famous for. Yeah, the nose. And so, this is the thing. He goes straight to the most highest form of the knowledge. Not like, oh, let me take you by the hand, let's do Atma, Anatma, and then Anatma is Atma. Atma is not Anatma. Oh, you didn't understand that? Let's just go to pot and clay. Let's go to, something else. Let's take a walk. Let's go to golden ornament. No examples, nothing. He just goes like a sonic, rocket. And Om is the sonic boom. And, here we have this Om straight dropped into our laps like hot coal. You have to have the proper carrier for it. This Om is dropped into the mind like a hot coal. And if the mind is like a newspaper, what will happen? Yeah, to singe through it. Yeah, cannot be like the Sunday Times even. It has to be The mind has to be a proper receptacle, otherwise the knowledge just sears through oneself and gone. The mind has to be a proper carrier for the hot coals of Om, the sizzling, live transmission that he is giving in these next 3 mantras. There is no build-up, nothing. He just goes straight, and I want us to be able to understand the Bhashya when it comes. So that's why I'm spending a lot of time beforehand. Because I don't want us to get confused when Param and Aparam comes and all these things. And Adi Shankara is right with him. He also doesn't waste time. He also goes straight, And this is how the teaching unfolds. So, Aparam Chet, if it is Aparam, what to do? This is something to pray to and meditate upon. This is why it is called Bhagavan, is called Aparam, because that duality is still kept in place. Then what is Param? How to go beyond Bhagavan? What is beyond Bhagavan? Tell me. Nothing. Nothing is beyond Bhagavan. But then Param means beyond. Param doesn't mean beyond. Param means the absolute, the ultimate. No, ultimate is beyond the relative. Well, beyond what? Beyond the mind, beyond inference, beyond objectification. Oh, then how can I know if it's beyond objectification? I can never know Brahman. That's right. You can never know Brahman. Well, then why are you keeping on make us come here week after week? I'm not making you come here. No, but still, we are told that if we come, we'll get the knowledge. Yeah, you'll get the knowledge. Then you just said it cannot be known. Yes, it cannot be known. Then why are you telling us that it can be known and it cannot be known? Now I'm going to tell you it need not be known. What? Brahman need not be known? Yes. Why? Because it's already you. It shines as you. So it need not be known as an object. Because it's the nature of the self-shining subject. And when I'm talking of Param Brahma, it includes the self-shining subject in the whole gamut of all these categories or attributes that we have seen. The causality, everything. So when I include myself, where is the cause? Yeah. The cause is only because I thought I was because. Yeah, that's why I need cause. Where is the causality? Choo, it's gone. And where is, oh, give me, don't hit me with bad karma, don't do this to me, help. Where is all that? Gone. Because I have done something, I have ushered myself into this Om. Yeah, last time we discussed in detail. The waker and the waking world. The dreamer and the dream, the manifestation of in the form of the dream, individual and collective. See, throughout it is including the individual on purpose to teach this. The sleeping person and Ishvara, Bhagavan, without the Jagat, and the sleeping world, that is Ishvara. And then the silence that ensues is what? Param Brahma. Brahman without the Jagat. Om, Om, Om. Out of silence it rises. By that silence it is sustained. Into that silence it resolves. That silence is me. Is you? Really? Yes. Then how come I talk so much? That's how it is. A talk that does not disturb the silence. That's what it is. So that silence indicates, it is Lakshya, it is the Lakshana. What is the Lakshana of this silence? It's not that you are silence and you have to put a zip lock on your mouth. That's not what that doesn't mean, I have to There was one Swami who said that you should always be silent. And then he would start talking. He was actually a very animated fellow. And he had lots to say, and very interesting person, also made nice jokes. Suddenly he would get serious in the middle of some story he was telling. Oh, I am Om. That means I am silence and I shouldn't talk. And he would stop talking. It was most disconcerting. Before the punchline, he would fall silent. So, suddenly he would remember. This is ridiculous. You know? Silence is in the example of the word Om, which arises from and sustained by silence and resorts back to silence. That is only with regard to the articulated word, the pratika, Om, the sound symbol Om. But what does that silence indicate? It indicates Parabrahma, the absolute, which is that I, which cannot be talked about, where the mind goes and beats a retreat, where the speech goes and feels shy and comes back. Why? Where it cannot be inferred, because it cannot be known as an object. But that silence is a knowledgeable silence, because in that silence, so what the silence is indicated, that space of that silence indicates that which cannot be known as an object. Why? Because that is something which is myself, which need not be known as an object, which is the truth of the subject. Very nice. So this is what is called Param Brahma. Param means what? The beyond which there is nothing. Aparam is included in Param. Param transcends Aparam. The truth of Aparam is Param. So this is what, we have to understand. And so this Om is this master key, I said, which unlocks many doors, depending upon one's readiness to go through this door. The first door that it unlocks is the doorway to a temple of Bhagavan. So you go there, you see the glories of the Jagat, you see the author of the glories of the Jagat, you see the cause of the universe, you identify your own body, mind, sense complex as part of this manifest glory, and you acknowledge that you are subject to the laws which is part of the manifest glory, including the laws of karma, and this becomes a place to air out the helplessness, to vent out all the grief, fear and sorrow, and to have a super therapist in the form of Bhagavan, who will just stand there and smile and no matter what you say, okay. That's why all the deities are smiling. You will never have a frowning deity. So this is the beauty of it. So this is the doorway for those who yet have to strengthen the antahkarana, meaning the mind. Strengthen the mind where this coal of the Om as yourself, the hot coals of knowledge, can be held. So how can this mind be strengthened? By reducing raga dvesha. Same thing. We'll be seeing this in the very next mantra. Same thing. Reducing raga dveshas, reducing krodha, reducing kama, reducing all these 6 negative emotions. Reaching out, prayer, surrender, seva, all these things. Gurukula Vasa, all these ways in which the internal purification has to take place to operate the key to the next doorway. The doorway marked Param Brahma. And in fact it automatically unlocks, when the readiness is there. So these two things we have to understand. Om means both the Jagat and its cause, and that truth the adhisthana of the very cause, and the truth of this very cause, which is that self-effulgent, limitless presence and knowledge, which is myself, that also is indicated by Om. So which one should I go for? Lord Yama says, whichever you want. He gives you a choice. We'll come to that. Let us see first this one. Did you see the meaning of 15 or not really?
Yes.
You saw the meaning?
Yes.
Okay. We'll chant it. Sarve Vedaha Yat Padamamananti
Sarve Vedaya Padamamananti
Tapamsi Sarvani Chayad Vadanti
Tapamsi Sarvani Chayat Vadanti
Yadichanto Brahmacharyam Charanti
Yadichanto Brahmacharyam Charanti
Tatte Padam
Tatte Padam
Sangrahena Bravimi
Sangrahena Pravimi
Om Idyetat.
Om Ityetat.
We saw the introduction also to this. Iti evam Prishtavate Mrityuhu Uvacha. We've seen that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So now we'll see the Bhashya, since we've seen the meaning. Sarve Vedaha
Sarve Vedaha
Yat Padam
Yat Padam
Padaniyam
Padaniyam
Gamaniyam
Gamaniyam
Avibhagena
Abhibhagena
Amananti
Amananti
Pratipadayanti.
Pratipadayanti.
Yeah, Sarve Vedaha, all the Vedas, he doesn't give a meaning for Sarve Vedaha. He assumes you know that much Sanskrit. He doesn't define Sarve Vedaha, which means all the Vedas. Sarve Vedaha Yat Padam. Yat Padam means that Padam is, Padyate iti Padam. Padyate, Anena also, Padyate iti Padam. That which is understood, that which is gained. And he says Padaniyam. Padaniyam means that which is to be understood. Gamaniyam, that which is to be reached. Very clever he is. He puts both together. Padaniyam for what? Param Brahma. Gamaniyam for Aparam Brahma. Both quietly he puts in both. That which is to be gained as the truth of oneself, or that which is to be reached, and both it can be. It can be even reached means what? Within quotes reached also, And so, Gamaniyam, Sarve Vedaha, he adds one word, Avibhagena. Avibhagena. Vibhagena means, separately. Avibhagena means without contradiction, unanimously. Avibhagena, unanimously all the Vedas proclaim which? To be the destiny or the way. That's what he is saying. Which we have already discussed. Yat Padam Amananti. Amananti, we saw this. We have seen this Bhashya, I think. Huh? No? Okay. What is the word here? The root word is mna. Mna. Mna becomes man because of one long sutra, and then thankfully, so that it's easier to pronounce, and it's always usually used with a in the beginning, because it is usually used in the sense of the teachings of the Vedas. Amnaya means Veda. So Amananti, that which all the Vedas expound, that's the meaning. Elucidate. That which all the Vedas expound. First conjugation. And So Pratipadayanti, Pratipadayanti means teach. So that which the Vedas unanimously, without contradiction, all of them are teaching the same thing. What is that same thing? That which is, that which is to be reached. They are teaching. That which is to be understood as the truth of oneself, and that destiny which is to be reached. Same thing. They elucidate this without any contradiction, meaning unanimous in they are unanimous in proclaiming this to be the human end. All the Vedas. This is the beauty of it. And why does he say the Sarve Vedaha Yat Padam Amananti? Lord Yama says this to assure Nachiketa and whoever comes after him, like the people who are reading this Upanishad, like, who are studying this Upanishad, all the students who are coming after Nachiketa also, may everyone be assured that this is not something specific to Krishna Yajurveda from which the Kathopanishad comes. May everyone be assured that this is not something specific to one particular Veda which says Om is everything, and another Veda says Om is nothing. Third Veda says Om is something. And this is, then it becomes a question of contentions. And if Om itself becomes a subject of contentions, that means Bhagavan, as is expounded by the Vedas, is a subject of contention. If Bhagavan is a subject of contention, the truth of myself as Bhagavan is a subject of many and varied contentions. To remove that contentions, the idea that there is, Om is yet one more way, because this is what people think in terms of tolerance and everything. People think there are so many ways. This Padaniyam, Gamaniyam brings to mind all these so-called ways. What way? You don't know, you have to know what other way is there. I just fail to understand that this whole ways and means business. There is one ways and means committee. This is how it is, This is what in the spiritual parlance everybody thinks of themselves as, I am the master of the way. And which way is this? My own way, which I have patented, branded, and I'm advertising. And then there will be the eclectic, ecumenical fellow that walks into the room and says, what does this fellow say? All ways are valid. Why are we fighting about my way and your way? Let us say this is our way, our ways. Let us put, an S, the plural, after every word. Many Oms, many Ishvaras. This is called interfaith meeting. This is what it is. All the Purva Pakshis sitting in one room. Yeah. I just catch up on japa. That's what I do. So, this is what it is. All kinds of things coming out. And so here, this contention, the contentiousness around the spiritual truth exists because of ahankara, an unresolved ahankara. The ahankara is unresolved because one has to prove something or the other. Ahankara means ego. The ego is unresolved because one has to keep proving something or the other. And in this pressure to prove something or the other, then you have to put down somebody else's way and come up with your own way. This pressure created, and then somebody else says, I'm so generous, I'm allowing all the ways. And so this becomes the truth becomes a target of wrong contentions, which lead to wrong conclusions. And we think it's a problem now. But everybody, starting from Vyasa to Adi Shankara, everybody in the lineage had to deal with it. Because Purva Pakshis were there then, and they are here now. Yes, they are here to stay and they will remain. This is what it is. Purva Pakshis means these contenders. So to stop those contenders in their tracks, Lord Yama says, to stop any kinds of contentions welling up in the heart, Lord Yama says what? All the Vedas are unanimous in their proclamation that this is the means and this is the way. What is that? Omkara Upasana Va Jnanam Va. What is Va? Or. Upasana means what? Meditation. So what are the Vedas unanimous in saying? They are unanimous in saying that the ultimate way and the way to gain what you want in terms of the spiritual truth, whether it is yourself or whether it is Bhagavan, is through Om. All of them are saying that. And how are they saying that? Unanimously. And what are they exactly saying? This is, if you want Aparam Brahma, if you want Bhagavan, so Om is still valid for you, but it becomes a product of your Upasana. So your practice is to chant Om for the means of gaining Bhagavan, gaining a clear Antakarana, to see Bhagavan and to connect to that wholeness called Bhagavan. And then what? If you are ready for something else, this Om is also that which is to be reached. Gamaniyam. Reached as what? As beyond just that cause and effect story, causality. Not just Jagat Karanam, but that Jagat Karanam is you, where the Mahavakya comes a full circle. So this is why it's the master key, and this is why all the people strive so hard in order to get a little bit of this Om, a little piece of this Om, because it is so coveted. And he makes it very coveted. Not he makes it, it already is, but he shows how coveted and special it is, so that there is an akanksha in the mind of the student. And akanksha means what? A certain anticipation in the mind of the student, wanting to get this anyhow. So he says, Sarve Vedaha Yat Padam Amananti. All the Vedas, without exception, without contradiction, expound which, syllable as both the means and the destiny of oneself, depending on what one is ready for. And then Tapamsi Sarvani Chayat Vadanti. Tapamsi Sarvani Cha Yad Vadanti Yat Praptyarthani Ityarthaha. Yeah. So this is why Sarvani Tapamsi, all the austerities in the universe that are made, they also talk about this. Since when did austerities begin to talk? No, they indicate. Yeah, they indicate this. So the austerities don't talk. The people doing the austerities, if you ask them, why are you standing on one leg since the last 6 months? They, for the last 6 months you've been standing on one leg. Why? In order to know Om, in order to get Bhagavan. Who is Bhagavan? Om, as described in the Vedas. In order to know the truth of myself. Of course, you can tell them there's an easier way. Come to class. You can sit on both legs. You don't have to stand. It's easier. You can tell them that. You can tell them 6 months of standing on one leg has definitely blessed you. Now it is getting cold outside. Please come and sit down in the class. You can, nudge them towards this side. So, tapamsi sarvani cha yad vadanti means all the tapas, all the austerities in the world, in the whole universe. Because people do all kinds of things. People keep fasts, Hard to imagine living in this country, but people do keep fasts. And people don't eat in Navaratri. People don't eat for 9 days. Sometimes they don't even drink for 9 days. And Modi came to America during Navaratri, Prime Minister of India. And everybody is having a 5-star meal. He went to New York, he went to everywhere. And then he went to Washington DC. Obama threw a dinner for him. And what? He threw away the dinner, that's what. He said, I'll have hot water with some lemon. Nimbu pani he had for 9 days. And, well, everybody else was feasting around him. This is what it is. 9 days people don't eat for what? Oh, I'm purifying. For what? Oh, just to feel nice. Nobody says that. To become closer to Bhagavan. This is what people will say. To gain Bhagavan. And then there is this other fast. Some fasts are intense. There is this Chandrayana. Oh, it's a nightmare. So, you go along the lunar phases. You start, you say, 1 month long fast. 1 month and 1 day, I think. So you start with a full moon. You eat a full meal. But you do a small thing. You play with your food before you eat the meal. You make it into 15 portions of whatever you eat. Whether you eat this much or that much, full meal. You eat it. And then the next day, you eat 14 of those bites. 15th one, you give it to the cows. Then the 13th day of the waning moon, similarly you wane, the first day one, and then no moon day you completely fast. Up till then somehow people do it. But then the killer comes when after that the first day of that waxing moon, 1 bite, 2 bites, 3 bites, you work up to 15. 1 month long. That's all you do. No water even. You just have water along with your food at one time. But it's a great purifier. It's a great cleanser. And it takes away all the past karmas and all the guilt and hurt like that. Yes. It's amazing. It is just amazing. And then they say at the end of this, you have a moon-like glow because you're blessed by the moon. You're blessed by Soma. And you gain a lot of powers. You don't feel guilty anymore, And you do very well. Only thing is you should have 911 written on your hand at all times. Just in case. Yeah, this is how it is. In India, people do that. I've seen people do that. Very, very intense. So this is a big tapas. And then there are other kinds of tapas, not just fasting. I told you what Ravana did. He stood on 1 leg for years. And then there is one Upar Hatwala Baba in India. This Baba, he is a favorite of all the journalists in Kumbh Mela. The Kumbh Mela means a little party, a fair of orange. Yeah. Where all the sadhus come and gather in tents and have a good time and visit each other. And they take baths and meditate, that's what they do. And so here, this one is a favorite of all the journalists, Upar Hatwale Baba. His hand is atrophied like this actually, with 1 finger. And he was asked many years ago, he was always in a trance, and he was asked, where is Bhagavan? Bhagavan kidhar hai? He gave the wrong answer. He pointed, from our perspective, he pointed upwards, and then he forgot to put his hand down, so it just atrophied like that. So this hand is like a thin, pencil-like bone, and it's just all shriveled up. If you touch it, I haven't, but the people who have touched it told me that it's just like touching some dried piece of wood outside. If you just touch one piece of wood which has fallen from a tree, like a twig or something, it's like a twig. This is a tapas, And that other Baba, who Pujya Swamiji's favorite Baba, who sits at the entrance to Lakshman Jhula, in Rishikesh, and he does not blink. He just sits like this. Does not blink at all, and then thereby attracts people. This is the whole thing it is. So like this, there are all these tapas. Various tapas. What are they all about? Why do people do them? People don't do them uselessly. There must be some reason. What is the reason? We'll find out after the short break. 2-minute break. Get up, stretch, do what you need to do. We won't shut off anything. This is very nice.
Very fun.
Very velvety.
You can see the, looking through it, it's kind of translucent and you can see the inner stem. You know,
Really?
like there's this dark.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
through,
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
if you turn it, it just,
Aha,
it's just,
yes.
it's kind of, yeah,
It looks like it's made of paper.
it's really amazing.
Wonderful.
Wow, this camera difficulties.
And it'll stay for a long time. Look. It'll stay for a few days.
Nice.
You must never have problems hailing taxis. Just like always.
He doesn't go anywhere. Then he lives in a cave.
Oh.
Yeah, there no taxi will come in a cave.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
This Baba, I can never say that place, in Rishikesh, is he the one who sits in that little, there's like a little seat? Some,
Lakshman Jhula?
yeah.
Maybe. I have not seen him.
I mean, I don't know, there was always one there.
No, once Swamiji took me there. We were going somewhere else, but he said, "Oh, let's stop and you can see him." But that one day he didn't happen to be there, so I don't know which
Oh,
one
no,
it
I
is.
heard that.
Yeah, he had gone somewhere that day. He wasn't there.
So then each day they have 15 palms full of food and then they have 14 palms full.
Yeah. So whatever you eat, you divide into 15 balls or 15 portions. Cut it up into 15 portions. If you eat one pizza every day, cut it up into 15 slices.
Yeah.
Then eat 15 slices on the full moon, 14 on the next day, and then 0 on the new moon. And then start with one slice and build it up to 15. That's the killers.
Getting hungry.
Yeah.
Kate is online, Swamini Jesus. And Kavita.
Kavita?
Who else is there?
And that's the only two who have written anything. But ask, if you're watching, you can just type a message. Swaminiji, would it work to come to the Sanskrit class on Monday?
Sure.
Do the,
Hmm?
they will recite Rama's chapter for you from start to finish.
We'll do that.
Say will.
Excellent. That sounds like fun. What time? 6 o'clock? 4 o'clock?
That's the 4 o'clock one.
4 o'clock. I'll come.
Okay, thank you so much.
This coming Monday?
This, does it work? Or-
Okay.
Does it work?
Yeah, yeah.
If not, let's-
No, I was just trying to remember so that I won't. Yeah, I'll come. No problem.
Thank you so much.
So all this tapas is for what? Is to gain something, correct?
Mhm.
Because nobody does things like Chandrayana without any purpose. You ask people what is the purpose. They will say that I want to gain self-knowledge. They will say that. I want to gain Brahman. Because they don't know that Brahman is gained through self-knowledge. Or they might say, I want to become closer to God. So I want to transcend the human need for food, rest, all these things. So therefore I take this sankalpa, a kind of an intention that I'm going to meditate for this many hours, for this many months, this many years, or I'm going to not eat for these many days, or these kinds of things. They do that. It's a form of a internal discipline. And he gives example. Tapamsi sarvani cha yad vadanti. And also he gives examples for the next one. Tapamsi he doesn't give. But we have to understand that tapas is that which is also talked about in the first portion of the Vedas. There are lots of upasanas. Even in the Upanishads there are upasanas, meditations. Then in the first portion of the Vedas there are some lot of time pass tapas. Like this Atirudram. Yeah, this is a very big thing. One Rudram to do with 11 dravyas, after that you feel like taking a nap, correct? In this country. But they do it 11 times for 11 days. That's not Atirudram, that is just Rudram. Then 11 by 11 is what? 121 days, and 121 times per day 11 dravya abhisheka. That is called Atirudram. Goes on for days, and they manage to shorten the time by having more people chanting. So this is Atirudram. You exhaust all your supplies and you exhaust yourself. It's just, and for days, something beautiful about it, because for days on end, all that is going in the mind is Rudram, because you've chanted it so many times. That's a form of tapas. Then there are other kinds of tapas which talk about certain portions, certain homas. Homas are done. The fire has to be fed endlessly for 1 year, 365 days. It should not go out. That's a big tapas, because you have to be vigilant. Can't sleep at night, or at least somebody has to keep taking turns. So maybe if there are 4 people in the family, every fourth day you have to be awake, because the other 3 are sleeping. Forget saying, oh, this is my weekend. No week, no end. Homa is the end. Week never comes to an end. Every day is a working day. You have to keep feeding the fire. Imagine how much. And you're not allowed to cut the wood. You have to gather the wood fallen from the trees, the twigs. And you have to make the ghee. Do all these things. Keep feeding, keep feeding. This is all the tapas. And all these tapas, if you ask for what is it, they will say, to clear my antahkarna, to know Brahman, or to reach God, whichever it is. Both are not the same, and it is, I don't want to prevail upon that right now. It's going to be described very nicely in the next mantra. Yadichantaha brahmacharyam gurukulavasa lakshanam anyadva brahma praptyartham charanti yad ichhantaha, desiring which what? Brahmacharyam charanti. Brahmacharya means whatever you do to get to know Brahman. Whatever you do. Brahmachari. Brahmachari means Brahmani charitum sheelam asya asti iti. Nini. So, the one who has the capacity to roam around in the realm of Brahman. That is really what it means. Roam around in Brahman, meaning basically the ones whose activities are centered around Brahman, knowing Brahman. This is a brahmachari. Desires to know Brahman, and therefore makes their life so that their whole life revolves around Brahman. There is not a lot of other things going on. There is nothing else going on other than Brahman. That is a person called brahmachari. And how do you know that such a person is a brahmachari? Gurukula Vasa Lakshana. Stays with the teacher, stays in an ashram. That itself is a big tapas, Because, you're always, what is that? You're always vigilant. You're always alert. And there is this feeling that there is a connection with the teacher, and because of this connection, all the activities that take place are blessed by that connection. So there is a certain connection, and that connection is maintained through Shraddha, Bhakti, tapas, everything. So that what happens is that the person has given themselves to an extended period of growth, which is needed for this knowledge. So this is what is called Gurukula Vasa Lakshana. And in the olden days, the Gurukula, even now, Gurukula is not in the main city. Ashrams are, far away. You have to take 1 or 2 buses to go into town and have a bun, masala bun at Nilgiris, So, you have to take a bus or 2 to town. Sometimes you don't get the direct bus, you have to change and then take another one, and then you go there, and then you do your shopping and you feel like you've been let out of a cage. Many people do. And then what? You go to Nilgiris and then you freak out, and then you come back, come back to the zenitentiary. So this is what is called Gurukula Vasa Lakshana. In fact, people knew so many things. They would tell me, have you tried dosas at the Anekatti bus stop? I didn't even know that there was an Anekatti bus stop. I said, oh, how sad. Oh, they have the best butter dosas. Never tried. And then somebody else said, oh, just next to the hostel. What is the hostel now? Before there was no hostel, before there was some old shops and some complex. So just next to that, there is a small path that leads. And then this lady makes the best bondas, these, fried fritters with potato stuffing. Oh, and the nicest chutney. And she doesn't advertise it, she makes it all clean, she caters only to the brahmacharis, and a few swamis have also gone. Never went. And so like this, so many things, if people want to get away, oh, there is this tea seller who makes the best tea, on the other side of Anekatti, downtown Anekatti. So, like this, never went. So the thing is, there's all these things that one can find out. If one is interested, one can find out. But brahmachari means what? That you may go and, have some fun, but really speaking, your mind is just focused on Brahman. That's why it's called brahmachari. You may delve into dosa, but it's still, you're delving more into Brahman, hopefully, and less into dosas. This is what it is. So, anyadva, he says, so brahmacharyam, gurukula vasa lakshanam, and anyadva. Anyadva means or other ways. Sometimes a person may not stay in an ashram, but sometimes you will find, even in so many other cultures, they will remain celibate all their lives, they will wear white, or they will have some certain things they don't do. They don't go to parties, they don't do this, they don't eat certain things. So they have their own discipline for themselves, even though they are not living in an ashram under the surveillance of the ashram teachers or whatever it is. They may not be living there, but still they follow their own rules for themselves. That is also called brahmacharya. So yadichantaha means desiring what? End. These people practice these austerities, practice these kinds of committed lifestyle. That I will tell you, very simply, very sweetly, very, precisely. Without, and the idea is, this is why we love your Lord Yama, without you needing to stand on one leg for 6 months, without you needing to, feel deprived of dosas, without you needing to live in an ashram, without you needing all those austerities, meditations, homas, tapas, pujas. I'm going to tell you right now, that for which people have striven for ages. Sometimes, and the sad thing is, they might not even have gained their end because of some wrong karmas. or because the pursuit was not properly done, properly harnessed to the end. Sadhana sadhya was not there. Relationship. So therefore, I'm going to tell you that very easily, simply, briefly, precisely. What is it? Om. Without you needing to take that horrendous moon fast called Chandrayana, without you needing to stand or go in a forest and build a thatched hut and sit there and meditate, without you needing to stay in an ashram for 5 years or 6 years, without you needing to do anything. I will tell you briefly, without bypass all these rules, because you are ready, because you are here, and because you have asked me this question. All the rules are gone for you. I will tell you this right now. It is Om. In order to gain this Om, in order to find this Om, in order to connect with this Om, in order to understand oneself as non-separate from this Om, all the worlds, what is that? Prabaha, the flow of the sacrifices that people do is just for the sake of this Om. The receptacle of all the sacrifices, all the mantras, all the difficult, tapas, all the difficult and committed lifestyles is all falling into this receptacle called Om, to gain which people go through so many difficulties. And here I'm going to tell you just briefly Om. And he knows it's not fair to just stop there. So he goes on, but before we have to finish this Bhashya. And he says, Tatte Tubhyam Padam Yadgyatam Ichhasi Sangrahena Sankshiptaha Bravimi Om Ityetat. Yeah, so Yat Tatte Padam. That Tatte means Tubhyam. Te is an alternative form of Tubhyam, unto you. So Te Vambaha. So Te Vambaha Tubhyam Yuvabhyam Yushmabhyam. It's an alternative form. So Te means Tubhyam, unto you. Padam means that, the end. Yat Jnatum Ichhasi, that end which you desire to know. Sangrahena, in brief. Bravimi, Sankshiptaha, same meaning, another word for Sangraha. Bravimi, I will tell you. It is indeed Om Iti. Iti means quotation. He says open quote, Om close quote. That's why the word Iti comes. Om Iti Etat. This alone. Not much to say here. He's just reiterated the mantra. Tadetat Padam Yat Bubhutsitam Tvaya. Yeah. So Tad Etat Padam. That Padam is this Padam. Very interesting. Yeah. That alone is this. And this is something I want you to remember, because later on he says Etat Vaitat. This Tat is Etat. Why? Etat means, for example, all this whole section we've been studying in the Wednesday evening class, Kathopanishad round 2, which we've been studying, is all referencing to this alone. Tatte Padam. And he says, Etat Vaitat. This alone is that Om. Yeah, very beautiful. Like the rivers falling down the mountain and the waters gaining each upadhis, and the rivers then being, having a different identity, but yet they all being that one water connected to the rain. Correct? Tad etat vaitat. So this, the fact of these rivers running in different directions, they are gaining their own colors of the waters and their own speed, their own name, their own forms. And then what are they? They are all from Om. They come from Om. They are just Om. It's a flowing Om. And so that's why Tad etat he uses here. That which you asked for is this alone. Tad etat padam. Yat bubhutsitam. Bubhutsa. What is bubhutsa? Bubhutsa kim? Bubhutsa.
So, and it's sun, but Bubhutsa isn't going.
Bodhumicha.
Out.
Bubhutsa. Bodhum,
Desiring to know.
to know, desire to know. Budh, bodh, bodhum icha, bubhutsa. It's a frequentative or a desiderative construction. Yad bubhutsa, then bubhutsitam. To that you add a PPP. What is PPP? Past passive participle. Bubhutsitam. That which was desired to know by you, tvaya, third case. That which was desired to know by you, I am telling you. Meaning, he says, it's not that you asked for the nature of mangoes and I'm going to give you a lecture on oranges. You asked for mango, you are going to get mango alone. So you ask for that which is beyond dharma, beyond adharma, all these things, beyond past, present, future. What is that? That is Om, and this is Om, and this alone is that which was desired to know by you. Meaning, I am not telling you anything other than what you wanted. And then he says, Yad bubhutsitam tvaya, yad etat,
Yadetat
Om iti,
Om iti
Om shabdavachyam,
Om Shabdavachyam
Om shabda pratikam cha.
Om Shabdapratikam cha
Yeah, this we have already seen. What yad etat means that which is the Om Shabda Vachyam, that which is indicated by the word Om, which is what? Brahman. And that which is again the sound, it's a Lakshana Vakya. Om is the Lakshana Vakya for which is Pratika. When you hear the word Om, what should happen? Brahman should happen. So, therefore, it is Vachya and Pratika. Vachya means what? Vachaka, Vachya, Vachaka Sambandha is there. We talked about this. That when you say pot, and then you think of pot and you see pot, the word pot is Vachaka of Vachya, the pot. So the word Om, Vachaka, the indicator of what? Brahman, Bhagavan. So this is, and Pratika means it's a sound symbol. In the Brahma Sutra there is a huge discussion on Pratima and Pratika. Whether it's a sound symbol or a Pratima means a written symbol, a visual symbol rather, like swastika, which the Jewish people, are very afraid of, and which the Nazis completely made bad use of. And of course they were not using the proper swastika, they were using it anti-clockwise and whatnot. But swasti means well-being, it's an auspicious symbol. Swastika means that which is the indicator of auspiciousness. You can't say swastika, it doesn't have that blessing. But when you see that geometrical, it's called spiritual geomancy. We have many examples of that, like the yantras. It's a spiritual geomancy. Like that, what is that? That in the goddess temples we have Meru. Yeah, that is also spiritual geomancy. It's a geometrical, esoteric spiritual form whose sight, whose presence, and whose diagrammic, the proportionate and diagrammic representation does things to the, to the atmosphere. It may have a cleansing effect, it may have a blessing effect, it may have a warding off effect, so many effects. So that is called a pratima, Whereas a sound symbol like Om, Atha, it is called Pratika. And even though people write Om, like this we have here, and worship it, now I suppose now it is becoming a Pratika, but really speaking it's a Pratima, now it is becoming a Pratima, but really speaking it's a Pratika. So that's what he says. Hearing the word Om should do something, because it's a blessing. It's a sound of blessing, and it's a sound of blessing because what it does is that it brings you back to yourself. That is the blessing. That is the ultimate blessing, because what other blessing you want? And if one is not ready to come back to oneself, it brings you to Bhagavan. That's all it is. Either the ultimate or the non-ultimate aspect of you, it brings you back. Om, that's why I said, that's why the word Om is in the word home. This is not an accident. Brings you back. It's just like they have another pratika, sound symbol. In the Buddhist tradition, they bring the bell. When not just a dinner gong. This is at all times they ring the bell. So you can't keep feeling hungry. This is, they ring the bell, and as soon as the person, because the person has to cultivate a relationship with that bell. If we go in and we are not used to the Buddhist ways, and we just hear the bell, maybe nothing will happen. Or maybe something will happen because of the power of the bell and the intention with which it is rung. But for the people in that Sangha, in that people who are communally practicing Buddhism, for the people of that temple, of that Sangha, that bell is an invitation, or rather an immediate entry into coming back to the truth of oneself. They won't call it the truth of oneself, they'll call it nothingness. Nothingness means what? Empty of name, empty of form. If that's what we mean, then they are Vedantins. That's what they mean. Sometimes they don't mean that. They mean real emptiness. So whatever it is, they come back to themselves. They let go of the distraction. It's an invitation to sit up, be alert, and to go inwards. Same thing. So for us, the bell is Om. So Om means it is a pratika. And Vachya means what it indicates is not separate from what the word, the indicator. The indicator and the indicated are one and the same. This is not true of other things. Like if we say, for example, our Father who art in heaven, if you say that, there is, because that whole thing is based on belief, that Vachaka Vachya Sambandha is not there. It's based on belief. It's a prayer. It's valid. But here, when you say Om, it immediately comes back to yourself. Especially if you know what it means, you can use it that is when you use this pratika as an alambana to come back to yourself. It's a crutch that helps you come back to yourself. Yeah, it's awesome. It's very, very awesome. Awe-inspiring. And so he says, Om Shabda, in what sense is it going to be used? Adi Shankara says, Vachyam cha, Pratikam cha. So both as Pratika and Vachya, because it's going to be used. And, and that gives way to the next one. Did we finish this? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so to the next one, which he doesn't even introduce. He just says, Ataha, therefore, Etadhyevaksharam Brahma.
Etadhyevaksharam Brahma.
Etadhyevaksharam Param.
Etadhyevaksharam Param.
Etadhyevaksharam Jnatva.
Etadhyevaksharam Jnatva.
Etadhyevaksharam Jnatva.
Etadhyevaksharam Jnatva.
Yo yadicchasi tasya tat.
Yo yadicchasi tasya tat.
Yeah, so etadhi eva aksharam. Etadhi. What is that sutra? Jayoho ho anyatarasyam. Yeah. So in the place of the jai letters, so this etat he, so that fourth letter comes etadhi. Yeah, that sutra.
It's a German. I have to believe this one.
So
It's not knowledge.
jayoho anyatarasyam, optional sutra. So yeah. That doesn't mean it's an option to forget. So etadhi, that's why the etat he. So it's an optional form. You can say etadhi or etadhi or etadhi. The ha is there in that Mahaprana. Very interesting. Sandhi. So etadhi eva, this alone is, emphasis. Etat he. He means indeed. Eva, indeed again. And he also can be taken as yasmat, because this alone is aksharam brahma. What is aksharam? Naksharati aksharam. That which is indeclinable. That which does not undergo any change. That which is the truth of everything. This is Brahma. And then what? So this is here, the first pada, the first quarter of this mantra is indicating Bhagavan, Aksharam Brahma. Then what? Etadhi eva aksharam param. This alone is the ultimate. Here it is indicating the truth of oneself. The next pada, the next quarter is indicating you. Then what? Etadhi eva aksharam. This alone, the imperishable one, jnatva, knowing. When one knows, yaha yad ichhati tasya tat. Whichever one wants. Whichever one means how many things are there? Huh? One. Then what does it mean? Whichever one wants? Huh?
Whatever one's
For
ready.
preparedness.
Either if one wants Brahma as Aparam Brahma, Bhagavan, or Param Brahma, the truth of oneself, then, either one is available to them. The keys have been unlocked. Etadhi eva aksharam jnatva. And here the word jnatva puts a seal. It puts a seal on the whole thing. It stamps and notarizes and verifies the whole thing. And what does it say? It says that this alone is something to be known. You don't feel Om, you don't hug Om, you don't meditate upon Om. Om is something to be ultimately known, to be intimately understood as the truth of oneself. So Om is not something to be chanted alone. Om is something to be understood, and when you understand, you can appreciate both these aspects that it unlocks. Otherwise you're stuck in one, you cannot appreciate the other. Very nice verse. Beautiful mantra. Yeah. So this is how to take it. The first portion is Aparam Brahma, Bhagavan. Etadhevaksharam Brahma. This is Brahman as what? Bhagavan, Jagat Karanam Brahma. Then the emphasis Etadhi eva aksharam param. This alone is Bhagavan. This alone is the truth of you and the truth of Bhagavan, which is one and the same. That limitless presence alone is Param. That is Om. Knowing which, not meditating upon, not upasya. Jnatva. Jnatva yaha yad ichhati tasya tat. Whoever, whatever, once you know this, and whatever you want, because even the jnani, after knowing this, can continue to meditate upon Om, either as oneself or as Ishvara. The choice is there. Whatever one wants, one can do. Very beautiful. So that's why these two level keys. Sometimes you go to these bank vaults, one key you put and it turns once, Aparam Brahma, it turns twice, Param Brahma, or like the combination. You turn to the left side, Aparam Brahma, right side, Param Brahma. This is how it is. The same key is operated on two levels. And on the level of gaining spiritual maturity as a alambana as a pratika, as an alambana to gain the spiritual maturity, to gain emotional maturity, clarity about the truth of oneself, not as oneself is Brahman, but oneself as little less raga, little less dvesha, little more accommodation, little more shanti, all these things. This is the first turn of the key. Correct? And then the second turn is when you make that final U-turn back to you and say, this is what I really want and this is what I understand by Om. So it unlocks on two levels depending upon one's preparation and one's readiness. This is what he's going to explain. And Adi Shankara's Bhashya here is fantastic, because here is the famous word. Aparam chet Dhyatavyam. Very good. Param chet.
Yeah.
Jnatavyam. So don't miss next week because we're going to encounter that. We're going to encounter that next week in the Bhashya. Don't miss that, okay? Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om